Dan the Natural Man Show. Hello everybody. It's a wonderful, beautiful Saturday. It was cold this morning, so I have a coat. I think it's going to warm up a little bit, but we're still in that April cold snap, strange for the South, but here we are. So today I want to talk about parasites, and I don't think I've ever talked about parasites on this channel, because they were kind of out of sight and out of mind, even though when I went through the School of Natural Healing, now we made a podcast this week about it, but when I went through the School of Natural Healing, whoever came to you for help, the first thing they advised us to do with them was a parasite cleanse. I'm like, really? A parasite cleanse? I mean, do we really have a problem with parasites in America? Because, most medical doctors tell you we don't. Because we have indoor plumbing and septic tanks and sewer systems and all these things. But that doesn't make us impervious to parasites in America. So when I was going through the school, there was one book we had. She was an herbalist from the school. Her book is really good. It's Dr. Mom. It's called Dr. Mom. And she had two clients over her practice. One guy had this rash, this horrible rash on his leg. He had it for 2 decades. He was a farmer, so he had a lot of close interaction with horses and cows and pigs and whatever else he had on his farm. So she recommended a parasite cleanse. And before I finish the video, I'll tell you the one that I recommend now, because it's pretty easy and it works. So she recommended, so you've had this rash for 20 years and nothing helps it. You've tried everything. I recommend you do a parasite cleanse. So he does a parasite cleanse for 18 days, which is the recommended link for this particular cleanse. And he called her up and he goes, my rash is gone. So it was obvious he had parasites. When you work close with animals, you're more likely to be exposed to parasites. So her second case was a guy he was young, he was in his 40s, but he had developed heart failure. And he was on a transplant list, but of course he didn't want to go through that if he didn't have to, so he talks to this lady, this herbalist, and she recommended parasite cleanse again. He does a parasite cleanse along with some other herbs for the heart, and lo and behold, his heart heals. His heart failure goes away. The heart can heal from things like this, okay? A lot of people tell you it can't, but it can. So apparently parasites were an issue with this man. Also, some of the herbs like hawthorn and cayenne can help the heart recover. So that was 2 cases of parasites, okay? I read the book, I'm like, wow. And then my podcast friend, she's an herbalist from the school. She said on the podcast, she had a lot of psoriasis. I saw her last year. She had a lot of psoriasis going on her arms, and I think it was some on her stomach and maybe her back. And it had been there for a while. Well, she does a parasite cleanse. And this one took her a few months. I think she cleansed for 3 to 6 months. And then eventually the psoriasis rash went away. This was over a year ago. The rash hasn't come back. So another clue for Dan the Natural Man to look at. I'm like, wow, okay. And then I was talking to my chiropractor and his wife a few weeks ago, and they were telling me that there's a doctor in Huntsville, Alabama now, giving people ivermectin for the C word. I can't say it because, let's just say we live in a police state or something. I don't know. I can't say it, but you get it. He had the C word. Cat, whatever you want to call it, right? But he's giving these patients ivermectin and another drug called, I call it Fenbin. I can't think of the complete word. I can't think of the name. But they're both drugs that are designed to kill parasites in the body. And some of these C word people are getting better. And then, I think God shows us a lot of things. So recently for me, Dan the Natural Man, I'm always healthy. People can always gripe at me, man, you never get sick. I mean, God, well, it was because I lived the life, that I teach. But recently, I said last few months, I developed a rash on my face that would pop up. I'm like, what the heck is this, right? You know? And so I've tried black walnut hull cream on it that I make, and I've tried other things, and they will dry it up. And I was just treating it externally, and it would come back about every 2 weeks. It would pop back up. So what am I doing? I'm doing a parasite cleanse right now. This is my 10th day, and the rash hasn't popped up lately. And when it does pop up, I mean, it popped up a week ago, but it's already less surface area on my face. So when I was getting this rash, I was doing research on rashes, you know, like rosacea, eczema, all these things. And I found certain cases, maybe 3, 4, or 5 cases. I didn't study that much, but people were diagnosed with rosacea, right? Rosacea. And they would do what the doctor tells them. They usually give you an antibiotic and certain creams for the face. A lot of these creams are like $600 a month. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? But it doesn't, I mean, the doctor would tell you cannot heal rosacea. We don't really know what causes it, but we think there's an autoimmune component. And there are a few doctors out there that do say that there could be a mite problem on your skin. Was it dermodex mites? I think that's the way they pronounce it. And some people, their immune system gets low. These mites can start to irritate the skin and make you look like you have rosacea, or that may be one of the causes, right? But some of these people that have rosacea, they were doing what the doctor tells them, doing the antibiotics, doing the creams, not really getting anywhere. Sometimes it would clear, and then it would pop right back up, and the doctor would say, well, your rosacea is getting worse. But some of these people decided to do a parasite cleanse. And some of these people use black walnut paste on their rashes. Some of the people use ivermectin paste on their rashes. And a lot of these people are getting better. The rash is going away and it's not coming back, because rosacea is supposed to be incurable. It's always going to come back. But some of these people, they're treating themselves for parasites. They get rid of the rash and it doesn't come back. So now, Dan the Natural Man, being the herbalist that I am, I'm a good one. And I'm doing a parasite cleanse. The one that I recommend, this is one that I learned from the school too. There were several, but it's the Hulda Clark Parasite Cleanse. I recommend getting her herbs because they are top notch. I recommend starting with the basic cleanse. It's black walnut hull, wormwood, and cloves. That's the Holy Trinity for parasites. I don't know of any parasites that can survive the onslaught of these herbs for 18 days, and I'm talking, you do an onslaught there. You can print the guide online, a Hulda Clark's Cleanse. It gives you the breakdown of how many of these capsules you take a day. It's different each day. At the end of 18 days, you take a week off, and she recommends doing a maintenance program for at least 1 month to 1 year, or for the rest of your life. I'm going to do a maintenance program for a long time. I don't know how long I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for at least a year or more. Look, I have 6 dogs. I mean, they're house dogs. But, you know, they go out in the backyard. I have a fenced-in place I made for them. They go out in the backyard and they use the bathroom. And I don't clean that as often as I should, so there's a possibility they could pick up parasites out there, possibly. But we also take them to the park on the weekends. There's a park by my house, a rural place. And so a lot of times, especially now, they'll find animal droppings and dead animals, and a lot of times they will eat the animal droppings, eat the carcass. You know, you try to tell them to stop, but they just run away from you. That sometimes they'll drag deer legs out of the woods, coyote legs. So my point is, if you have dogs and cats, unless they never go out, they're exposed to parasites. Okay, that's one way we can get exposed to parasites, our pets. If we're farmers, our farm animals, the foods that we eat. You know, I'm a whole food plant-based, 100%. But you can still get parasites off of unwashed produce. You could definitely get parasites from eating meat, even meat that is cooked. There are certain parasites that survive the cooking process, especially in pork. They can survive the cooking process. Unpasteurized dairy products can expose you to parasites. These are just 3 ways that I can tell you off the top of my head you get exposed. And if you travel to these third world countries like Africa and places like that, you could definitely pick up parasites. So my teacher, one of the best herbalists ever, he always recommended us to do at least 1 or 2 parasite cleanses a year. And the hold the clock cleanse is painless. You still can eat the same foods. You don't have to do a juice cleanse or anything. You just take the herbs. And I tell you, I was having some bloating too before this. My bloating's better too in my stomach, which is another sign that you could have parasites. But my face is getting better, and I'll report back about it. But so yeah, parasite cleanse. I do believe now I've come full circle, and I do recommend parasite cleanses for everybody, especially if you have an illness you're trying to get over. I recommend doing a parasite cleanse. I recommend Holder Clark. My school has one too. It's a good one too. But I really am attracted to the Holder Clark cleanse. I think it's easy. Like I try when I teach, I try to give my clients the easiest modalities possible. And I think the Holder Clark modality is one of the easiest and one of the most effective parasite cleanses. So there you have it, guys. Parasites, I do believe they're a reality for us even in America. They're definitely a reality if you live in some of the third world countries, but they are a reality even for us that, have it cleaner, usually. And anybody can get it. Anybody can get them, okay? Also, if you live with dogs or cats, I recommend treating them. I treat my dogs usually every 3 months, okay? So there you have it, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, please like it and share it. Please subscribe to my channel. Check out my page, danthenaturalman.com. And remember, until next time, keep it natural.